Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our matchup tonight. My name is DJ, joined by Turquoise Yoshi on the desk for a best of three matchup between NJCU and Heartland University in the conference here tonight. And I am very excited, Turquoise Yoshi. It's been a bit of a break here for NJCU streaming of League of Legends, but we are back and ready for some action.
Yeah, I'm very excited for this. I'm sure this is the most important collegiate athletic event of the evening. So that's a March Madness joke. Thank you. um, but anyways, I am very excited for this best of three series we've got going for us. NJCU is coming off of a win last week. Uh, and yeah, I honestly expect more of that. We are getting into pro draft already, so
Yeah,
NJCU blue, Heartland red.
Yeah, very quick into pick ban here, and a couple of places I had my eyes on looking at some of the players. Thanap here for Heartland. Big Caitlyn players, been playing it a lot in solo queue, and that can be difficult to deal with in lanes. We'll have to see if that's banned away or prioritized. I know it's pretty good into the Kaisa these days, but can certainly be punished as, we saw C9, summarily fail to play that one in higher elo, so we'll have to see if it comes out here in lower elo, but we do see the Yone taken away, Zillion off the table for Heartland. That is a comfort pick for NGCU. That Yone hasn't been played a ton, but Levi in the mid lane does kind of like to play the emo bros there in mid lane, both Yasuo and Yone. So both double reasons here. Don't want to give him a comfort champ, and of course don't want to play against those champs, because who does?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I think there has to be a lot of priority around this mid lane. Looking at it beforehand, it's basically the premier matchup. I believe beforehand, we behind the desk heard that Paco Parrot would be starting mid lane for NJCU, and then on the other side, Heartland would be playing Levi. Both of them are the highest elo players on their team, and generally, I think that the mid lane matchup is what's really going to determine this entire game's outcome.
Yeah, and we do see a couple mid lane bans. Potential one there was Zillion, but oh boy, the picks are coming in faster than the bans. Zach going to be prioritized for NJCU, and hovering Shen here is Heartland. I don't want to talk about a hovered, so we'll wait for this one to get locked in, but that's Zach, an interesting priority pick. Likely something that Don't Miss Your Mark likes to play, or maybe just a counter into what they expect Heartland to play, is that Shen is locked in and paired with Asena.
Yeah, in general, you'll see a lot of this kind of tank engaged jungler at this kind of level. It's very comfortable for a lot of players and not too difficult to pick up. It can definitely assist a lot of characters. It's got a lot of gank pressure, and in terms of characters you want some extra pressure for, want to help out in the early game, Zed's a good one to get snowballing with.
Yeah, we can get excited about a little bit of Zed play. We don't see enough of the Shadow Ninja these days. Almost never pulled out because it is just so counterable. So very excited to see. You mentioned Paco Parrot starting here tonight for NJCU, going to give himself a nice skill matchup, and looks like Heartland wants to opt right into that skill matchup. The Echo going to come out to match up with that Zed.
Yeah, and Echo can work fairly well into Zed just because the Chrono Break is such a valuable survival tool. Echo will not really be in a ton of danger post 6, and also will provide a bit more than Zed will in later game team fights if the Zed is not really able to get off the ground that much. I will say that level 1 Baby Slime, I believe, plays a bit of Zed as well. Sometimes they like shifting around their positions a little bit, so something to keep an eye on looking forward into this matchup.
Yeah, we'll have to see what NJCU decides to do. We are finished with phase 1 as a Wukong came in to round out their first 3 picks. It looks like we have a draft bug there, so I'll wait for production to let me know what we are missing in that ban. Meanwhile, the Vi going to be taken away by NGCU, and it looks like it's a Malphite that was taken away by Heartland, so don't want that one to crop up for the enemy team. I'm a little surprised if that is a Malphite, considering we already see a Wukong likely already in that top lane, but nevertheless, the misfortune will be taken away by Heartland. What will NJCU finish out their bans with? I imagine, considering what we see, it would be a support, and there it is.
Yeah, it does kind of indicate that they believe the Senna is going to be more of that carry role, or at the very least, maybe a fasting Senna with a more traditional pick. But that's an interesting. No, it's not that interesting. I was thinking the Jarvan might be interesting, but I don't think it's that interesting just yet. I think it's likely just going to be jungle, and that they're saving support for last, or at least a confusing Senna pick for last. Not confusing as in like Senna's bad. Senna's a great champion. More confusing in that technically it can be a support. Usually you'll see it more in that AD carry role. Janna? Haven't seen that one in a while.
Yeah, have not seen the Janna in a while either. Usually it's picked into Rel as sort of a rare disengage option against that engage support, but not going to be in this game. Could work a little bit against Jarvan, but he will be unstoppable when he does use that Cataclysm. So maybe not the best, but yeah, I kind of had a feeling that we'd get a hyper carry. If you are going to pick Janna, it's typically trying to protect something. And ooh, a Sona. So this is going to be a fascinating comp. It's likely going to be Senna Sona bot lane, I would have to imagine, which is going to be a lot of poke, but who's going to farm and what happens if they get ganked?
Yeah, there's a lot going on in this bottom lane that I find really interesting. Something I want to mention before we get too far into discussing things is that so I don't forget, is that NJCU has a very AD heavy team. Zac is the only real AP potential threat, but even then you're not likely to see more than maybe an item or two in terms of the AP before speccing fully into defensive items. So I don't mind the Janna in that sense, in that you do buff the AD. At the same time, it's a very worrying proposition when you're going up against a Shen Jarvan late game if you just don't have magic damage and you just kind of get shredded by Thornmail. In terms of the bottom lane, I think it's really interesting. Sona and Senna, which is going to be very difficult to say throughout the game. Sona and Senna are both very squishy champions, and as you mentioned, if they get ganked, it is very worrying for them. At the same time, they should have a decent amount of pressure in this lane. Janna and Jinx aren't necessarily known as extremely high damage champions, especially in the early game, and so they should be able to avoid getting poked out fairly easily and stay at reasonably high health, and perhaps the movement speed from both champions. The on Sona, the shadows for Senna potentially will get them through it. I believe we'll be hopping into real pick and ban right about now, is what this image indicates for you all.
Yeah, well, there's no Lee Sin in this game, so you're getting a nice
Mhm.
Summoner's Rift as the pick ban comes through. As you mentioned, I think on the shoulders of the bottom lane here. So Fan up on this Senna and Trash Bones on this, on this Sona are going to be tasked with being safe and farming up. As you mentioned, I don't think they'll get poked out. They'll likely be doing a lot of poking on the other end. It's just a question of, can they get to that late game Senna spot without being absolutely overwhelmed by any pressure or ganks? Because, there, as much AD as there is on the enemy comp, there is a Wukong, there is a Zac. Like, they are going to pile onto you, and nobody in that bottom lane is going to be able to absorb any sort of CC or damage for too long.
Mhm. Yeah, I think it will definitely be a bit of a question, especially as we get a little bit further into the game. And I do believe those, just for information's sake, the two teams are backwards. It's NJCU on the blue side and Heartland on the red. Um, but yeah, looking at Heartland's comp, I really like what they have in a later game team fight. They have a ton of healing, they have a lot of tankiness, a pretty solid amount of damage as well. It'll just be more of an issue of, can they get to that point? Can they make sure that their backline is not getting blown up? And what can even maybe the front line do in terms of damage? Shen is known as a reasonably damaging tank. Uh, Jarvan as well has some okay base damages on him as well, and both of these champions will be building items with that Sunfire Cape passive, most likely, possibly a Turbo Chem Tank on Majestic Turtles, Jarvan, and Glowstick, maybe going for the Frozen Fist. But both champions should be building items with okay damage on them, so it's something else to look out for. And I do, well, I'll just wait on that. Well, actually, no, I will say this. I do believe that this will be the specific people picking each of the champions. So it will be level 1 Baby Slime on the Zed. I believe that level 1 Baby Slime is a much more prolific Zed player between themselves and Paco Parrot. Paco Parrot, generally more of a support player, but does play a lot more mid lane at this level. So something just to look out for as the series progresses. What NJCU does tend to do is that they pull out the Zed for level 1 Baby Slime and make them the mid laner. And if they don't pull out the Zed, it'll be something for Paco Parrot to do.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, so we'll be level 1 Baby Slime going up against Levi in this first round matchup. So baited you a little bit with what we were talking about at the beginning of the stream, but maybe we'll see that later on tonight as we are ticking down to the end of Champions Select. So we'll just be in to that final break before we do get into the game for the delay. But looking at these two comps, I got to ask you, whose draft do you favor a little bit more? I know you talked about the late game scaling and team fighting on the side of Heartland. But do you think they're going to be able to get to that point against this composition of NJCU?
I'll be completely honest. I really do like this Heartland draft. I don't necessarily know that it's definitely going to win the game for them. I think that NJCU is just a really good team by themselves, but I like this Heartland draft a lot. I love teams with lots of engage. I like a good scaling advantage, and honestly, I don't think they have an awful early game. Typically, a lot more of the early game is going to be focused around the top mid side of the map, and Echo, Shen, Jarvan is a pretty solid early game. Shen can also go across the map at level 6 with those Stand United plays. And even in the bot lane, like that'll provide a bunch of extra shielding for anyone who's in a little bit too much danger. It'll make it a little bit more difficult for NJCU to make any big plays around that bottom side of the map, especially post 6, when the Zed will really want to be moving around using that death mark. Even despite all of that, I think there's definitely a lot of advantage to this NJCU comp. One of the big things about all AD compositions is that usually you can take over the game before the all AD nature of your composition ends up taking a toll and a bunch of armor gets built up by the enemy tanks. That's definitely what NJCU is going to need to do, and what I think that they have the ability to do. So I think a lot of it will just be execution in this one.
Gotcha. So if we are looking at execution, then who are you looking for here to deliver for these two teams? We've seen the comps. We know a little bit about the players. Where are your eyes focused on this early game? And then, who do you think will be the ones that we're looking on to carry?
I think the biggest players, I said it before, but I think this mid lane matchup's really important. I don't think Levi necessarily needs to be the big carry for the team on the side of Heartland, but definitely level 1 Baby Slime has to be making big plays happen early on in the game. Wukong is a strong champion when ahead. Jinx is also a strong champion when ahead, but a lot harder to get ahead. You definitely want to be getting Zed ahead if you are able to. And I think a lot of it will also rely on KP Cooper trying to get that team ahead, because that is a big job of the jungler, is to make sure your laners are able to find leads in their matchup. And so I'm definitely going to keep a bit more of an eye on KP Cooper's pathing and see if it's really beneficial to ganking and trying to get the team members ahead. Because as Zac, you don't want to be doing anything. You don't need gold as Zac. You don't need any other resources. You are Zac. You are Blob. You are flying at the enemy team and trying to do some CC at them. You can play Zac and absolutely feed out of your mind and still be doing a great job, because Zach's job is not to be getting gold or winning. It is to disrupt the enemy team and to help your teammates get kills onto them. And so that's what I'm definitely going to be looking out for in this matchup.
Yeah, on that, Zach, you're trying to get to level 6 as fast as possible to get tanky because, you don't, you can easily get invaded and watch your jungle just evaporate in front of you, depending on, the matchup. The late states, it is not the strongest jungler in the 1 to 6 levels. As you have a pretty weak clear, you waste a lot of health doing it. Mark get himself to a useful stage, and already looking pretty confident as he's dancing it out here with level 1 baby slime as they set up their lines of scrimmage. A little bit of a deeper one coming out from Heartland to stand up, just kind of hanging around in one of these deeper bushes, not really getting any river vision. We do see a ward placed already into the river by NJCU. One on bottom, and it's a ward in top river for Heartland. Those are a little bit early, so we'll likely time out as the lanes do get started. So keep your eyes out for any early ganks, because Jarvan and Majestic Turtle piloting it can certainly get busy level 2, 3.
Yeah, absolutely true. It is funny that KP Cooper is playing Zach. He is the real level 1 baby slime. But you're absolutely right that Jarvan can definitely get a lot done in these early levels. Looks to be just using the blast plant to get over there. So both junglers are starting bottom side. I think that's reasonably smart. I don't think you necessarily... Maybe you want to do a level 3 gank bottom side, but I think more likely both of these junglers are going to end up on the top side of the map and see what they want to do at that point. Actually, Majestic Turtle got over there very quickly. Did I just mix two people up? I might have just mixed two people up.
Yeah, he did just tick level 2.
I did.
So he started top side. But that will put them around mid lane right now. You can see he's actually hovering. I think he wants this level 2 gank. Oh, here we go. Level 1 baby slime, still not level 2. He's just gonna have to walk this one out. His jungler's around, but again, Zach doesn't do a whole lot, even at level 2. Slime's ignited. He's forced to flash away, but they're following him at first blood, coming into Levi. Now KP Cooper forced to flash, and what a start from Heartland.
Yeah, definitely very smart gank there. I am surprised, actually. We missed a second there. I'm surprised that Majestic Turtle didn't need to flash in that exchange, because I thought that was how they were able to lock down level 1 baby slime, but maybe it was just the slows from both of these champions, the Echo and the Jarvan's red buff, that was able to finally knock level 1 baby slime down. And that is huge, getting the flash out of level 1 baby slime, getting a kill on level 1 baby slime. Levi gets a kill early in this matchup. We'll see what Levi decides to get there. But they're seeing a bit of a gank here. Another one.
Oh, yeah, they're pushed very high up here, and already going to be falling is Paco Parrot takes up Thanap and now trying to run away. Wait, what? Wait, Thanap died there to the ignite at the backside of the plate. Paco Parrot actually disengaged the fight as well. Brilliant stuff from the NJCU support.
Yep, Paco Parrot is... there's a reason why we were focusing on Paco Parrot. Even... in the support position can make something crazy happen. Happen to a replay, we are. So you can see here that this is not the right game. This is the right game. So, yeah, definitely a smart play by Paco Parrot. Did end up getting the kill. Not necessarily the thing you want most for your support to get the kill, but even still, it's definitely better than the alternative. Thanap was pushed out of lane as well, which is really big. Lost a decent amount of CS. So overall, that was a good play by the NJCU bottom lane, and not dying was good. We'll see if the flash being down matters in the end, as well as the heal matters in the long term. But still nice to bring back some of that tempo that was lost in the mid lane. Yeah, Glowstick kind of getting beat on a little bit.
beat on a little bit just as level 1 Baby Slime is. Nice trade coming in from Levi as he ticks over to level 4. But yeah, I think you were mentioning it, just staying alive there was super impressive. It looked like they were dead to rights as Paco was sitting on about a quarter of his HP bar. But hold on here, Majestic Turtle is literally everywhere, and he's going to help pick up another kill on the level 1 Baby Slime. That's 2 deaths already for the Zed.
Yep, and that was, I do gotta, ooh, here's a gank though.
Oh, return gank like the play following up on the bottom side. KP Cooper going to try to connect the second part of the stretching strike, but can't find the target due to the mist coming out from Senna's E. So they will just walk out of that one on Heartland's side, and that's a positive play for them across the map. And again, it's Majestic Turtle, and he has been all over these lanes in the opening levels.
Yeah, definitely a big jungle difference in these early levels. Not to have that any flame or anything, but just a great job by Majestic Turtle in order to make a lot of these ganks happen, especially around that mid lane. I mean, we were talking about the mid lane, and now the Seeker's Garm Guard has been completed for Levi. That'll basically mean Levi should be not like in much danger from a Baby Slime on V1, but we've actually got a return gank down here.
Oh, and this is why you love Zach. He can come from such tricky angles, and KP Cooper's got the brain cells to match those angles, sneaks up behind the enemy bot lane, gets the initial CC. It's a nice trap follow-up from XChuki there, and that will give them the access to this first Drake. So love the return gank to try to punish the flashless Senna. They make it happen, and now we have two two-death members on either team.
Yeah, and now that level 1 Baby Slime has been put in a not great position, has been put reasonably far behind, you really want, to be getting one XChuki ahead, who will be a very important part of the late game. I mean, it's a Jinx. You definitely want a very strong Jinx. And then the second thing is they're focusing the bottom side when there's an objective around. Getting that early Mountain Dragon is good. Now they have gotten one ahead on what will either be an Ocean Dragon or an Infernal Dragon, or a Soul, excuse me. And that's going to be pretty important as well to the later stages of this game. One of the other things that can keep you in the game, if you have a composition like NJCU has with a bunch of AD, is a Dragon Soul, especially Infernal or Ocean, which just keep you either... Ocean keeps you alive forever, Infernal deals a bunch of extra damage, which you wouldn't really have otherwise when you're just beating on a bunch of armor tanks. So definitely really, really big for NJCU that they were able to get ahead on this dragon count, although obviously it is just one dragon to 0. They are going to do a lot more, and another gank.
They want more. Paco's going, or excuse me, KP Cooper going low, but the heal's coming out here. And we'll just kite it out again with that black Curse of the Black Mist from Sen. A lot of damage goes down onto the enemy support, but it isn't quite enough to pick up a kill. But you can see where the focus is here for NJCU. As you mentioned, they know where the lever is. They know where the weak spot is on the map at the moment, and they are really trying to dig the knife in there.
Yeah, I will say that Heartland is doing a pretty great job overall at making sure they're not dying to this, at the expense of Thanap's CS, which is really, really hurting in this matchup. But even still, ooh, oh my goodness.
Paco and Chuki combining for a big burst of damage, and now Thanap in some trouble. Paco tanking up the turret, just going to walk away from that one. It's a double kill over to XChuki, and now Slime will pick up his first kill of the game as they spot out Majestic Turtle trying to hover around this Rift Herald. Didn't really have any rights to Shelly there, and they punished him for it. And NJCU just starting to accelerate things here after a very nice start from Heartland. They've earned themselves a 1.5K gold lead.
Yeah, and this is NJCU really turning on the Jets with a lot of smarter macro play. You could see on this top side, NJCU is just weaker. They are just weaker in this top side, and Levi should be reasonably able to get to any situation with a pretty solid push and roam setup. Glowstick should have been able to get anywhere with the Stand United, but for some reason it just ended up being a 3v1 on that top side, and they were able to get the kill. They were able to get the Rift Herald on top of it. This bottom lane, they've been doing a really good job. I mean, they've just kind of been return ganking and using the advantages from that, but even still, it has been a good job. All right, we are going to review this play. Ooh, there we go. See that fantastic play right there with the tornado into the rocket, and then now they're under tower. Definitely a really good job at balancing aggro. Paco Parrot getting very low, and Tuki then taking the last couple of shots. Now 3-0-1 on this Jinx, 30 CS advantage. This is huge for the early game, and huge for this Jinx to get ahead in the bigger stage of the game. ThanApp isn't totally ruined because of this. Senna souls are always going to be reasonably valuable and have value similar to gold in many cases. That's kind of the trade-off for this matchup, but they're in some trouble. I don't think they're going to die there, but definitely in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Chuki, she's got to be feeling so good about her situation at the moment. Very, very strong on this late game carry. And, you know, you mentioned Senna's always going to have utility and damage in the late game as the souls stack up. But something we didn't really mention is this is a farming Senna, not a fasting Senna that's usually preferred. And unfortunately for ThanApp, due to the way this game has gone mostly, those farm numbers are looking more like a fasting Senna kind of numbers here. So it might take quite a while before the soul count and the gold is there for ThanApp to truly be relevant, as you don't generate souls as fast when you are last hitting. Meanwhile, the level 1 baby slime trying to get away from Levi. The Senna ulti gonna come out and gonna have to ulti to get away, but there is no getting away from an Echo. Levi gonna pick up sort of a solo kill there. I got a little bit of help from the bottom lane, but not even sure he really needed it. Oh, okay, hold on. I guess I don't get a break here, as there is another pile onto bottom lane, and it's another double kill for Chuki. They are just piling it onto this poor bottom lane. And, you know, I feel bad for ThanApp and Trash Modes here, but as you mentioned, it's smart to try to find a lane to flex upon, you know, as you are struggling in mid lane. And something that I mentioned in pick and ban, especially since I play a lot of Senna in solo queue, is it's really hard to play a Senna with another squishy champion because you're just going to get ganked over and over and you're just going to die.
Yeah, you really identified it in pick and ban that this is a lane to focus, and it looks like NJCU really took that idea to heart in this matchup. That's a solo kill.
That is absolutely a solo kill, as Don't Miss Your Mark hasn't had an ulti all game, finally gets a chance to do it, and his first shot is a first kill. So lovely stuff from Don't Miss Your Mark in that top lane, and now it just becomes a big issue for Heartland because, you know, outside of mid lane, they are losing in both side lanes here, and now by quite a hefty margin with the Wukong in the lead. He will turn into a split push threat as the game continues. And even with that split push threat, NJCU is stacking dragons, so everything is in their favor as we see this bot lane play once again. Zach charging up in the bush. Oh, look at the tornadoes from Paco Parrot are just so accurate. This man is cracked. He's got the heals to finish off the play, and yeah, there he is. All of that majesty on the I think it's the Enchanted Janna skin there, the one that was in TFT. So
yeah, the TFT one. Yeah, and you can see also in that play, another one of the big things is that they picked up another dragon there. It's going to be Ocean Soul. That is extremely valuable into the later stages of the game. Something definitely to look out for. I will say, kind of on the topic of the top lane, we were talking about it a little bit with Don't Miss Your Marks 1v1. It's been mostly invisible, which is definitely favoring Don't Miss Your Mark because Shen is the one who's supposed to be around the map. Like, I don't think I've seen a single Stand United all game, and I think there have been plenty of opportunities. I feel like something about Heartland's communication has been breaking down because I feel like I should have seen this Shen somewhere, and that this could be big.
Oh, Chuki's in some trouble. She has to flash away, but Paco Parrot might just be the sacrificial victim of the 3 members now showing up. Paco gonna flash away. This one is turning around as Slime shows up. First kill already in, and Jinx is excited. Chuki gonna stay away from the Echo ultimate. He will pick up Paco, but he's likely to fall for it. There's your first gen ulti, but What is going on, Glowstick? You just shed ulti to your death.
Yep. Just a fantastically executed team fight from NJCU and especially from Chuki. The big thing there is that one of the great parts about focusing down a carry, regardless of even if you get the kill, is that usually you can zone the carry far enough away from the fight that they don't end up being able to do anything. But Chuki in this fight was able to put out so much damage despite being on pretty low health throughout it. Now is at full health actually, but definitely a variety of things kept her at a decent chunk of health and kept her in the middle of that fight, always able to put out extra damage. And I think it might have also just been that Heartland had burned up everything they could have used to jump on her. But regardless of the reason, very smart by Chuki to identify what she needed to do in order to win that fight, identify the damage she needed to put out. That's a little awkward, but probably not that consequential.
Okay, Tortle, I see you there stealing away the second Rift Herald. Surely is gonna be a traitor, go over to the likes of Heartland. I'll have to use that one somewhere on the map when they do get a chance, but in the extended play, they are going to lose a sacrifice for that steal as Trash Bones will fall for the third time this game. Some more map advantages coming through for NJCU, who have themselves an extremely large early game lead here of 6K at 16 minutes.
Yep. And the reason why I said that I don't think it'll be incredibly consequential is that Heartland is kind of pushed onto their own side of the map. If they are able to get a Rift Herald push, I doubt it's going to get it. At most, it'll probably get one big slam down, and that probably won't even kill a turret. Maybe the mid lane turret if they're able to summon it at the right time, but the expected gold value out of that play is not fantastic, and they sacrificed a decent amount.
Oh, Paco Parrot is just fearless, baiting in Levi, who's destined to fall in this fight. Chuki going godlike here, picking up another one. And this bottom lane duo is just showing up in game number one. They are everywhere. They are turning every single play. And Paco Parrot just making them think they can get something done, then immediately shutting it down. Now they're going to overstay underneath the dying tier 1 mid lane turret. Another kill comes through. It's a double over to level 1 baby slime. And oh boy, Glowstick, I know you've got a taunt, man, but they've got a Janna and 4 members. Like, you're not going to get anything done with that one. Tier 2 turret will fall, and this is just a stampede down mid lane for NJCU.
Yeah, level 1 baby slime is having a bit of a rough game, but even there, just able to show off the Zed mechanics. Really fantastic couple of kills. And I think Janna is a very funny champion psychologically, because generally Janna isn't a champion that does a whole lot, which makes you want to do really cool things on Janna when you play her. And Paco Parrot is definitely showing off like a lot of the coolest things you can do with Janna. The blowbacks with the ultimate, really cool Q setups, really cool W setups. And it's absolutely working for this team all the time. It has been absolutely fantastic. And that Moonstone Renewer has also been really useful in healing up the team. It's going to be really hard to kill this team as the game goes on, if the game goes on much further.
Yeah, it's not looking like it is. We've already got 3 Drakes under the belt of NJCU. They're climbing up to now a 9K gold lead about. Chuki still deathless on this Jinx, nearing 2 items. And like you mentioned, Paco Parrot has all this healing and shielding from the Moonstone. Even decided to pick up a luxury item in the healing reduction on the Oblivion Orb. Not something I think you would expect the Janna to pick up, but Paco seems to know his limits perfectly in this matchup so far as they are assaulting this tier 2 bot lane turret. This one will fall. Engage coming out from KP Cooper, who I believe has the passive available. They're just going to blow up Thanap as there's just not enough damage. You just mentioned it. Like, how are they going to kill anyone on NJCU through the heals, through the shielding provided by Paco Parrot?
Yeah, and this only gets worse If Heartland is
Oh,
able to call
no.
it out, I don't think they can.
Trouble here. It's going to be another death for the Sonax. Chuki taking a couple turret shots there, trying to get a flank down, but they still can't get to the Jinx. Finally, Levi coming in, and he will get the 1,000 gold shutdown onto Chuki, but it's likely going to be at the cost of his own life. Going to use the second stopwatch. Shutdown comes in on level 1 Baby Slime, but NJCU just continues to fight in the enemy base here. Sort of probably limit testing a little bit as KP Cooper still healing up, still shielding up. He's just going to jump out of the base. Levi's low on mana. He can't even catch him. These three members are still going to walk away after an inhibitor falls in mid lane and the tier 3 bot lane turret nearly falls as well.
Yeah, and in that fight, you can kind of see the ideal of Heartland's team fight if they were not almost 10,000 gold behind at 20 minutes. They've got a strong mid lane champion that can scrap a little bit, a couple of champions that can do cool CC. But just in the larger scale of things, Heartland is just too far behind to make any of that happen.
Sitting so far behind, and we will see a replay of something going on in the bottom lane. Okay, there we go. A little bit of clarity on the image. It is this dive under the tier 3 turret. And you can just see two members coming behind. It's Levi on the TP, then Glowstick gets a Shen ulti on top of him. I think Chuki gets a little bit hypey there, trying to run down Glowstick, sort of doesn't see Levi coming from the flank. That does allow the shutdowns to come through, but again, it's just so hard to kill these members. I mean, look how low health KP Cooper is, and then through his little W blobs, through the shielding from Janna, the Moonstone, there's just no damage to kill him. Thanos does absolutely nothing at this point in the game. Has just behind time and time again, and it's looking like there will not be enough time for Thanos to get to a point where he is effective as KP Cooper going in once again. Lovely Wukong engage onto the back line. Two members knocked up once again, and it's another death for the Sona. Levi trying to make things happen, but this time he can't get to Chuki. Everyone stays alive, and a great follow-up engage from KP Cooper will likely doom the rest of Heartland as they are running away into their base. Majestic Turtle sort of sidestepping here, expecting the engage to come. It does. He falls. One member remaining. It's just the Shen. That's not going to be enough. NJCU are going to claim game number 1 in a stomp after a bit of a rough early game in the mid lane.
Yep. A stomp is definitely right. I think they really turned on the Jets starting with that bottom lane play, as well as just a kind of larger map advantage. I think this team is just really good at macro, and they've gained a lot of advantages because of that, because they've really found where the weak parts of the map are and were able to get everyone ahead, because they did have issues in that early game. It was really smart by Majestic Turtle and Levi to find those kills onto level 1 Baby Slime. However, it didn't last, obviously. And I think a lot of that just has to be attributed to, of course, the bottom lane, Paco Parrot setting up Chuki, and Chuki absolutely running all over the whole game, as well as KP Cooper finding some good ganks in the bottom lane. Definitely didn't look like a lot was happening at the start, but they really found the advantages by just kind of hammering that bottom lane repeatedly and finding, kind of creating the advantage almost that really didn't exist there. But I do think that a lot of it is just some maybe misexecution from Heartland. You really wanted to see more out of that Shen, if you are Heartland, or if you are supporting Heartland, I guess. Stand United is one of the best ultimates in the game. It's iconic. It is an incredibly important ability, and we barely saw it for most of the game. And that's kind of the weird thing. I mean, Jan is a great disengage champion, but there were more than enough engage tools in order to lock down that NJCU bottom lane. Post 6, there is definitely a lot of potential for a 4 or 5 man dive into the bottom lane by Heartland and taking that same kind of advantage for themselves, but instead their ADC just fell further and further behind. And yeah.
Yeah, as you mentioned, a very prominent nail in the bot lane for NJCU to hammer, and with the help of KP Cooper, they absolutely did that. I remember the name of the Janna skin. It's the Sacred Sword Janna skin for
Mm,
the Paco Parrot there in the bot lane, who did smurf game number 1, in my opinion. We'll have to see if that continues in game number 2, or if Heartland can find a way to turn it around. My advice, use the Shen ulti, and don't draft Senna with another squishy champion. That's just my advice, so we'll have to see if they take it after a brief break when the players come back for game number 2. Stick around. Welcome back, everybody, to game number 2 between NJCU and Heartland. Once again, I am DJ, joined by Turquoise Yoshi. And yeah, Yoshi, we saw an absolute stomp from NJCU in game number 1. It started very positively for Heartland. It was Turtle, excuse me, combining with Levi very nicely to get a mid lane advantage. But from about the 3-minute mark onward, NJCU just repeatedly hammered the bottom lane, and that game just snowballed out of control so fast.
yeah, and I do think that it's something that we might want to see more focus on from Heartland in the draft. Like, honestly, I don't know. I didn't hate the draft. They might want to fix the bottom lane. If they want to pick the Senna again, maybe do it alongside a tankier champion. Maybe don't go with the Senna at all. Go with something a little more lane aggressive. Something like that. Just anything that keeps them more in the game at that level 6 point. Because I don't think the champions were necessarily the issue. I think a lot of it, was execution. They have switched sides. We'll see what the priority could change there. We had like a Zac first pick last time from NJCU, which it worked, definitely. I think it did a great job, but pretty unconventional of a first pick.
Yeah, very unconventional first pick. Sort of weak early farming, but very good team fighting jungler. We are in a meta where you want to power farm those camps, you want to get strong, but meta doesn't matter if you can get on your comfort, and that seemed to be the case for NJCU. But fans coming in here, Heartland, they don't want to deal with slimes. Zed, the Karma also taken away. Similar bans here for NJCU. The Yone off the table for Levi. The Ashe going away as well. And there's a Jinx ban from Heartland, so they don't want Chuki on that one after a dominant game 1 performance. So do like the adjustments in bans, at least from Heartland, excuse me. They are trying to change up what happened to some degree in game number 1. Bans looking very similar here for NJCU. Of course, they don't really have to change after that game, but the Nautilus will be the priority for Heartland with this B1 pick.
Yeah. I will say I'm a little surprised about the Karma ban because I expect that more to be towards Paco Parrot, but and there's a Zillion. That's going to be the pick for level 1 baby slime. I am not sure if that's a mid lane pick or a support pick. I will do my very quick research on that, but I do like that lock-in quite a bit. I believe it will be towards the support position for level 1 baby slime. So I am kind of confused that they decided to ban out the Karma, because banning out the Karma kind of implies that you want Paco Parrot to be mid and level 1 baby slime to be support. Nothing else has changed so far. Well, the 2 junglers haven't changed. The Nautilus was locked in, as you mentioned, which I like it. It's a tankier support. It gives you a bit more engage. Not that you necessarily need more engage, but the nice tankiness in the bottom lane might help, and the engage in the bottom lane can help quite a bit.
I do like the ability to have a tank and engage, but there's the big pick we talked about for Heartland in the build-up. It will be the Caitlyn for Thanap. This is the main carry for him. It's his one trick right now in solo queues, so he will get his hands onto that one, and we'll see if he can transform his fortunes after just getting brutalized by the team power of NJCU, excuse me. We'll see what they will decide to go with to try to disrupt this here. Nautilus and Caitlyn is a pretty strong bottom lane. It's not sort of a traditional one that we usually see paired together, but nonetheless will be a dangerous combination. You can land a Q, hit that auto attack into a Caitlyn trap. There is a lot of CC that you can combine. And Tom Kench, an interesting one, likely to be the support champion selected here. Usually we see that paired with Senna, but they're going to get a chance to ban that away on the side of Heartland.
Mm-hmm. So that is just a correction that Kench is a misfortune. I know that they're very similar, but um, I do like the changes that Heartland has made in this draft so far. Uh, I will wait to hear what that no ban is one more time from our prediction. Okay, that is an echo ban from NJCU as the no ban, but I like the changes both of these teams have made so far. I think that Caitlyn Nautilus is a lot better of a bottom lane and can give Heartland a bit of an out if they are getting ganked a lot of times. I still think that it'll be a very difficult road. Uh, Even still, I think that this is quite a bit better. And honestly, for NJCU, I don't mind it as well. Misfortune Zillion is a weird combo, but not one that I think is completely useless. And I think Zillion Zac is a cool combo. I like that setup a lot. You can definitely do some interesting gank setups with that as your kind of basis. So we will see what these teams decide to opt for. A couple of bans, the Kale, the Ornn. Yorick actually gets locked in. Yorick's, if you know how to play Yorick, he's a reasonably safe top lane champion. There's not a whole lot that completely nullifies him. So I think this is a fine enough pick. I mean, if your goal is just kind of to delete the top lane, kind of like last game where Don't Miss Your Mark was really not doing a whole lot before a couple of pretty solid team fights, I think this is completely fine of an option. You sit fairly happily on the side lane. You're not in a ton of danger. You don't really pose a huge threat in terms of like needing to gank this champion. You're just kind of hanging out. You're Yorick. And it looks like the Shen locked in again.
Yeah, so it's got to be Shen against Yorick. I mean, you kind of have to hang out as Yorick because you don't do a whole lot in team fights. Your whole objective is to just, sit on the top side and, as you said, just push into infinity. So that's pretty much what we'll be seeing, I think, from the Yorick. We will see if they can operate that one in team fights to any degree, but the Talia will round out the composition. So very heavy sort of AP poke style here, which I can get behind if you are just going to run Yorick as a split pusher. You also get the semi-global on the Talia. You'll have the Zillion maybe to teleport in and help out if that is what you want to go for. But there are options to support this Yorick split push on the side of NJCU. It is a bit of an interesting comp, and I'll be very interested to see how they play it out, whether the focus is more on poking around setup or just trying to enable the split push from Don't Miss Your Mark. But we see a much more traditional comp coming in from Heartland after some of the adjustments to picks and bans. Similar team fighting prowess, but as we saw in game number one, it didn't work out that well for them.
Yeah, I'm just going to like recycle exactly what I said from game number one. I like Heartland's team composition a lot. Very well rounded. I think there are a lot of obvious strengths, especially in the later stages of the game. Like it's a lot less threatened early in the game, but I think the strengths later in the game are a lot more obvious. The Corki does a ton of damage, as well as the Caitlyn in the late game. Those are just great champions as the game goes forward. And the Nautilus provides really good CC for any champion you're trying to lock down. Maybe the MF who you're trying to stop from ulting at a certain point in time. You can definitely cut that out. But, and I am repeating this also from game one, NJCU is just pretty good. They've got a lot of pretty good players. I think they have a lot of ability to execute a lot better than Heartland, and that is what's probably going to cause a lot bigger of a split, I guess, in this game. It's going to be where the difference in these two teams come from, and where I think that NJCU will pull ahead with this very unorthodox composition. I'm very interested in the Talia because it's not a pick you see in mid lane very often these days. It's most commonly a jungle pick.
Yeah, and barely even a jungle pick anymore after the nerfs that came in 2 patches ago, making it a lot more difficult to clear with the Q, a little bit slower on the move speed between lanes. But it will have some clear advantage against Corki, likely in the early game, and maybe that's what they are playing towards, or maybe it's just something Paco Parrot is really comfortable on. We'll have to find out, but I will be interested to see how Thanap performs in this game. Again, kind of got brutalized in game number one alongside Trash Bones by the repeated ganks by KP Cooper in that very squishy lane. Now they've got a tankier member with Trash Bones with a ton of CC on him. Thanap is on this comfort Caitlyn that we know he loves to play, and he's going to be up against level one baby slime and Chuki again, and this time they are going to have what's likely to be a heavy poke lane. I imagine this is Comet Fortune to pair with the Zillion. Maybe they do go the press the attack because they're lacking consistent AD if they don't. But Miss Fortune can put out the AD with either one of those runes, and you can really pile on the early game damage with the Zillion if you are taking that Comet. The slow will likely guarantee the double bomb. There's a lot that you can do with that. So it will be a test, particularly in the laning phase, I think, for this Heartland duo.
Yep. But while it is a test, it's definitely one that they have options for. Caitlyn and Nautilus are two pretty good champions, and they do have some ability to synergize for kills. In fact, Zillion and Miss Fortune are not the tankiest champions in the world. They don't have the best of escapes. If you can catch one of them with maybe a Nautilus stun auto attack combined with uh, one of the bear traps, I think that you can result in some kills. I think they can make kills happen in this bottom lane. Whether they will or not is a much bigger question. Uh, I think that NJCU will just have to out execute, find their advantages, find out that poke advantage, which should be in their favor. But yeah, overall, I think that there is a lot to like about Heartland's composition and the champions they've selected, but NJCU definitely has execution that they can make work. And, Miss Fortune Zillion definitely has a lot of damage, uh, even in the early stages of the game. So it's something we will watch out for. That's something to keep an eye on early on in this game. Also, to keep an eye on early in this game is the ganks again. KP Cooper had some good ganks, more around the level 5 or 6 point, kind of starting around then. Majestic Turtle starting right from level 2, found that gank onto level 1 Baby Slime, and was definitely trying to snowball the game from there. It didn't work out that way, but definitely a lot of great early game potential there. If they could have kept that up a little bit more, then it really could have been a huge one-sided affair for Heartland. Instead, NJCU really turned that one around with a lot of the game Cooper. So something to look out for a little bit more. Majestic Turtle might be on the prowl a little bit earlier than KP Cooper is, but KP Cooper definitely showed off that the Zac is the king of ganking, and you have to watch out for that all of the time.
Yeah, certainly did in game number one. But I guess my question for you, Yoshi, will be where will those gangs take place? Thanap and Trash Bros are likely to be pushed up pretty high in this lane. It could go the other way with all the poke, but Caitlyn is typically someone that shoves lane pretty hard. Corky, not exactly a champion that has a lot of gank setups. So, trying to get it done will be pretty much all on Majestic Turtle. Really, the only gank setup that you have is on Glowstick. And depending on when you gank, Bjork is not exactly the easiest target to gank. It can be a 2v1 at times. So, do you expect his attention to be top lane, or where do you expect Turtle to be looking?
I'll be honest, I like the bottom lane again. I really think the top lane is not going to be very pressured, just like it was in game one, but showed that in a matchup of reasonably strong AD champion with not a ton of scaling versus Shen, that neither of these teams really wanted to interact with that lane and really were just kind of using it as late game fodder, kind of leaving top lane on the island. And honestly, mid lane didn't get a ton of pressure after those early levels, so I do expect a lot of it to be focused around that bottom lane, where both of these teams kind of have shown that they like to spend a little bit more time than top and mid. But I also think that just the mid lane champions this time aren't as fun to get ahead. Talia's a little bit more push and roam than, uh, say, the Echo or the Zed, and the Corki is teleport, just going to be sitting in lane, farming, not going to go anywhere. Has the tier even, just going to sit there for a while. I think that the bottom lane might be where we have to see our action because I don't know that a lot of these other champions are doing much.
Yeah, well, we are loaded into game number 2, and this will be the chance. Will it be NJCU taking it clean to a sweep? Will Heartland be able to turn it around? We will find out on the Rift as the draft is over. The champions are out. On to Summoner's Rift. We've got our lines of scrimmage, and there is KP Cooper once again getting his Zac dance on, flopping it around. This time, Levi or level 1 Baby Slime not really there to join him, as we saw in game number 1, but a similar start. Everyone just seems happy to take those lines of scrimmage, not let anyone invade. Nobody seems to want to. I can't imagine why you would want to on a Zac, to be honest. But we will just look to get a pretty standard start here. And again, keep your eyes on Majestic Turtle on this Jarvan. We had level 2 gank come out successfully. We had a level 4 gank. We had another level 4 gank. So this is the man I have my eyes on in the early levels to try to make some stuff happen here for Heartland.
Yep, and is starting red again. Keep an eye out in the mid lane, keep an eye out in the bottom lane, see if anything early happens. I would not be shocked if it does not, if Heartland just says, haha, you've got to be a bit more scared this time, and Majestic Turtle goes for a bit more full of a clear, goes for maybe a level 4 gank in an unknown location. But we might just be saying, no, that's a level 2 gank.
Oh, yeah, he wants it.
Oh, it's caught though.
Parrot is onto him. A ton of damage actually coming out despite the level advantage. And Paco Parrot wants to run him down. He's probably going to have to try to get over the wall. He's actually going back in, but he's ignited. This is going to be first blood for Parrot as he flashes in to pick it up. And my Majestic Turtle, you tried to do it again, but they sniffed you out this time around, and you challenged the man who dominated you in game number 1. Paco Parrot turns it around.
Yeah, Majestic Turtle tried to get funny with it, tried to get that kill where they weren't really going to be able to find it. Like, the Corki one, I guess, the Corki does not have the same kind of follow-up that Echo did in the previous game. In that last game, level 1 Baby Slime was already getting pushed out of lane by the time that Majestic Turtle showed up. This time, I mean, oh man, that's a return actually.
It is a
but that's already a ton of damage. They
Yeah,
can't go for this.
it's a red buff to Leah, so the slow's coming out, the damage coming out from that early first blood, and Paco Parrot will just walk away, not even needing the help of his jungler who's on the other side of the map. Like you said, you had an Echo in game 1. There's some follow-up there in the early levels. The amount of follow-up on Corki at level 1, 2, it's zero. It's absolutely zero.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you could see the attempt there where it's like, haha, I have my E and my W used, and it's like, okay, that's cool. I'm just gonna stand here, is what Paco Parrot said, and use my Q move a couple times. That's a decent amount of damage. That's a
but there we see the CC combination available to this bottom lane. The hook into the auto root, into the trap, into the headshot, and down goes level 1 Baby Slime for a nice return kill. And Thanap getting off to a much better start in game number 2 than game number 1. Already 10 CS and that kill up. So we might just be seeing a reversal of fortunes from game 1 to game 2, as it was Heartland's mid lane that was ahead early on in game number 1. Now it is their bottom lane who was the weak point in game number 1.
It's definitely possible, but it's something we'll have to watch out for is when KP Cooper starts getting on the map. This time, in the same way as last game, Majestic Turtle showed up in mid lane twice. It just neither time resulted in a kill, and one time resulted in him dying. So it's something that I need to see what KP Cooper decides to do, and KP Cooper's here.
Oh, don't miss your mark. Going back in, he gets the heal off the Q. He's trying to stay away. He is ignited, will fall to Levi, and now KP is in trouble. Only level 4, doesn't really have anywhere to go. He will flash over the wall. The auto won't take him down, but he's likely to fall at the end of the day. Gonna pop into the passive and will pop out. Oh boy, they want to make the play here. Paco's here. The seismic shove will land, and here comes Don't Miss Your Mark. Back after dying, will force the flash and the escape, and KP Cooper gonna turn it around onto Glowstick. Oh, that feels so bad.
Yeah, I like the attempt from Heartland, but I don't know if they realized this, but the reason why they were winning that early part of the fight is because Paco Parrot was in base and just not able to join. Paco Parrot was making a beeline for that fight, and NJCU knew that as soon as Paco Parrot was there and as soon as Don't Miss Your Mark was able to TP back, they had the numbers advantage, and Paco Parrot had all of the cooldowns in the world to work with. So, as well as just a lot of gold, a lot of AP for this early game point. So we are going to watch that again. You can see here that KP Cooper gets knocked down very slowly, but Glowstick was actually in the process of recalling and now is like stuck here as his jungler just gets completely chunked out. You can see a ton of damage happening there, and they're just able to say, okay, we'll pick up the Shen. Everyone else to skedaddle out of here. A flash burned, I believe, by Majestic Turtle because of that specifically. So pretty smart by NJCU to turn that one around over.
Yep,
Nothing too big gained or lost.
Yep, it has just earned themselves a small 600 gold lead. Not too much to write home about. Do see the advantage continue to grow here in bottom lane. Thanat farming up very nicely, but it has been a good recovery by Chuki and level 1 Baby Slime. They are approaching those level 6s, which of course will be hyper critical for level 1 Baby Slime. A lot of his kit comes from that level 6, so will be important to see. Our mid laners have already ticked over to that mark, so the Rockets are out here from Levi, who's trailing by a similar CS amount that his bottom lane is leading. So another good performance from Paco Parrot. Some trading in top lane. Glowstick will get trapped up, but not a ton of damage coming down. And now the Maiden is out. It's level 6 time, which means, you know, an extra champion gets to play League of Legends up there in the top lane.
Mm-hmm. And the Maiden is going to be very useful in this matchup for Don't Miss Your Mark, and going to be kind of annoying for Glowstick. I don't think Glowstick is going to be able to do a whole lot at this point. Wasn't really able to do a whole lot before. And here we've got a gank happening. I feel like this should be a kill, hypothetically, but I don't think that that was done correctly.
Yeah, the timing just seemed a little off due to the engage from Trash Bones. It did cost Thanat flash, as had to go over the Talia Weaver's wall. So they did get something out of it, but maybe not exactly what they wanted. We'll have to see if they do return to punish Thanat's flash like they did in game number 1. Meanwhile, that Maiden's still just creating some havoc in top side. Paco Parrot just heads back to mid lane to pick up the waves of farm. Still very, very ahead on this Talia and continues to create havoc around the map. Level 1 Baby Slime, though, still trailing behind due to that early death. He needs to tick level 6. Otherwise, they're just going to have to stand exactly where they are right now, and that is far away from the wave.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I liked the theory behind that gank in the bottom lane from Paco Parrot, but in actuality, it really didn't do a whole lot. It just burned a flash. Maybe they'll get a lot out of that flash burn, but to be honest, I feel like it won't be that significant, and that they really want to find an advantage here because they are losing a lot of CS down in this bottom lane. You don't want to be this far behind. It's not catastrophic for the team. The misfortune doesn't have to be the only one getting anything done, especially when that's what your mid laner is able to do.
Oh, Paco.
Nope.
Okay, goes flash for flash, though, at the end of the day, just continuing to pile pressure onto Levi. We did talk about this matchup, which we were able to get in game number 2 before game number 1. And between these two very talented mid laners, Paco Parrot really flexing on Levi in this early game now. Almost 30 CS up, and almost going to catch both of the bottom laners. He does get a nice chunk onto Trash Bones and will likely force a recall out of the Heartland support.
Yeah, that's not exactly who Paco Parrot was looking for, but still pretty valuable in terms of HP and map pressure. Something notable about this game is that NJCU has not actually made any plays towards the dragon. Last game, they had already been putting pressure on that first dragon. This game, they just haven't looked at it despite... I mean, they've had a lot less pressure in the bottom lane, but even still, KP Cooper has just been mostly invisible, farming up for a while, just kind of not ganking, and it's a little weird to me, but yeah, the CS difference is pretty significant for KP Cooper with
Yeah.
all of this farming. It's just that it hasn't resulted in a whole lot. It hasn't, I mean, it resulted in the Rift Herald, I suppose. We'll see where that decides to go.
Yeah, we'll have to see if and when he decides to get involved in the lanes. Probably getting pretty close to that first item completion. So maybe just trying to power farm to that mark as Stanhope gets a little bit of poke here in the bottom lane. Still just farming up. They did pick up the Rift Herald as mentioned. We'll have to see if or when they go for the Drake. Might just be something they're not looking for. As again, they do have a Yorick, and that is a big split push win condition for them. So if you do have the Rift, I feel like that will either be popped in mid for Paco or top to just accelerate this Yorick in that split pushing quest. But of course, if you do take down the tier 1 top lane turret too early before the mid goes down, it can be a little hard to split push too far away without vision and support. So we'll have to see what the decision is as we see him flashing across mid lane at the moment with that elastic bounce, and now they might just be heading towards that dragon. An engage going wrong, they're going to land a stun onto Thanap, who is still flashless. It's coming up in a couple seconds, but I don't think it's going to be up in time, and it won't. Great seismic shove from Paco will pick up the double kill, and that's what you want to see. We were talking about punishing the flash, and they come back just seconds, 15, 20 seconds before it's up, and Thanap finds himself back with a gray screen.
Yep, and that's what I want to see from NJCU. That's what I wanted to see from NJCU. They had the pressure in the mid lane with Talia, who is able to roam and able to put that seismic, not the seismic, whatever the wall's name is, down to get all the way into the bottom lane for a great gank. They had KP Cooper, who also has great gank pathing. All that you need is just to put those 4 members in the bottom lane and kill the enemy team, and that's exactly what they were able to execute on there. So, pretty simple, but they were able to make it happen. No mana here.
Yeah, Paco in a little bit of trouble. No flash, but the last auto will not come through as Don't Miss Your Mark comes in to help out his mid laner. We do see the Shen ulti come out. What? Wait, what?
It's awkwardly timed.
Yeah, no kidding. I don't know if that was supposed to be for the engage. I think that probably would have been a good idea, but instead it comes out on the Corki right at the end, who seemed to be fine to my knowledge. It will allow Glowstick to be here for this Drake, which they do have control over and looks like they will take down, but certainly probably could have gotten more done with that ultimate. Oh, wow, actually KP Cooper wants this. Gonna use the ulti, gonna get stunned up. The Drake will go over to Heartland, so nice smite from Cordal, but now the fight is breaking out, and look who's back with full mana. It's Paco Parrot. Support already gonna fall at Trash Bones. Will they be able to run down Thanap? The flash is no longer available, already used, and nope, you ain't going nowhere. This Zack's on top of you. Levi comes in to try to break things up. He actually will pop the passive, and the kill will come down. It will be Thanap falling at the end of the day, but Levi coming in clutch to at least get a double kill and get something out of the extended play for Heartland.
Yeah, definitely pretty valuable on the back end for Levi, and Levi has actually been doing really well in this game now. 3-0-0, has the Essence Reaver, building towards the Manamune. Overall, just doing a pretty solid job, and not a bad play from NJCU overall, but definitely... if they can get this tower, that'd be pretty valuable. I don't think they'll be able to, though, because of that. Overall, just a couple of good plays for NJCU, but at the same time, Heartland has been able to respond to most of what NJCU has been doing. They have the Dragon lead this time, so we'll see what Soul it ends up being. It could be Ocean again. Could also be Cloud, but we're probably way too far off from Soul for it to be a real concern in this game.
Yeah, still 15 minutes away from Seoul. It would be a 30-minute game at that point. Some trading in top lane up, but KP Cooper's here, and Glowstick is unfortunately the man with the ulti that goes globally, so nobody's going to come to help him. They're just trying to peel him off Don't Miss Your Mark, who gets a little bit of a heal. The taunt will come out. He will take down Don't Miss Your Mark, so it will be a 1-for-1. Meanwhile, it is level 1 Baby Slime falling again, getting caught in rotation, and that is his third death in the support position. So another big turnaround for the Heartland bot lane. They were the 7-8 death bot lane last game. This time around, they are punishing level 1 Baby Slime, who has that revive ultimate, but he's only got one, and you don't really want to use it on yourself.
Yep. And Glowstick's Ignite actually coming in clutch there. We haven't really brought any attention to it. The Ignite was kind of taken because, I mean, it's definitely got some utility, and you don't necessarily need the teleport since your Stand United is a better teleport on a lower cooldown. Definitely, I think the teleport is better than Ignite, but it definitely came in handy there as it was secure the kill onto Don't Miss Your Mark to make that just a 1v1. Still, Glowstick is really far behind in CS in this lane, really doesn't look like they're going to have much of an impact on the game damage-wise. Probably just going to provide the Stand United and maybe a taunt and probably just fall over at that point. But honestly, not a ton of consistent damage from NJCU, so maybe it'll be a little bit better than I anticipated.
Yep, NJCU, though, not wasting any time. They are hopping on to Shirley, the second Rift Herald, and Glowstick just going to peek his head in here. He knows they're doing it, but the rest of the team a little bit slow, and importantly, their strongest member, Levi, is nowhere near this. He does have the TP, but they decided it's not worth the expenditure of the Summoner spell for that second Rift Herald. Probably the right decision, I would say, but it will continue to accelerate this tower lead for NJCU. They already have two, and they will likely secure a third when that Rift Herald is placed down.
Yep, and that is the big thing for NJCU here, is that there are a lot of disadvantages they have, but they also have a 5,000 gold lead, and that's a...
Ooh.
Caitlyn.
Yeah, Thanap gonna get knocked up. Good disengage from the rest of the team. Misfortune ulti coming in over the top, and Chuki actually picks out Thanap. Thanap walked back into the Misfortune ulti, and now it's a double kill. Now it's a triple kill for Chuki, who was struggling in the lane, 20 CS behind. Well, not anymore, as Levi gets a snipe there, goes on a rampage, the fourth death for level 1 Baby Slime, but Chuki, what a Misfortune ultimate, laying it down over the top, and boom, blam, kablam, everyone from Heartland goes down. Shirley will be popped. They're going to lose the mid lane tier 2 turret. It's going to get a charge on tier 3. And man, oh man, they had a 5k gold lead before this. It's probably going to be more like 7 afterwards. It's 6. I was close. I was right in the middle.
I was close. And definitely nerves of steel for Chuki there. You don't get canceled out of your ultimate unless you CC'd. So just don't get CC'd and you won't be canceled out of your ultimate. No CC came down, so Chuki was never canceled out of the ultimate.
Yeah, Cataclysm does not disrupt your channel, guys, so do keep that one in mind. If the Jarvan's not built in lethality, you can get through it, but a 3-man knockup will start out this fight for KP Cooper. Thanap doing a great job to disengage, and now Levi picking out Paco Parrot on the backside, who's forced to flash. The big one will just miss on the backside. Thanap still staying alive, but the rest of the team has fallen to Don't Miss Your Mark, so Chuki will pick up the enemy AD carry, and that will likely guarantee the Drake. KP Cooper is super low, but he should just be able to kite this one out. Now Chuki having a duel with Levi. They will have the honorable trade as Don't Miss Your Mark comes in to clean up the enemy mid laner. Man, Levi is doing a ton of damage. So strong in this Corki at 5-1-1, but just caught out to the side of the fight and can't do enough to bring the team fight win. It's the first Drake for NJCU, and they continue to extend their gold lead.
Yeah, Levi is providing a whole lot for the team, but the dive from NJCU is usually at least able to neutralize one of the two carries for the team, and this time Thanap was taken out of the fight pretty early. I don't think Thanap actually died, but was just zoned way too far away to do anything. Levi was able to put out a bunch of damage, but it's kind of off to the side. A bunch of people died anyway. Levi ended up dying at the back of it, so Another big win for NJCU. We'll take a look at this fight again.
Yeah, look at the kiting from Thanap here at the start. You can see the mid laners battling it out on the bottom side, but the frontliners, I think like you were talking about, just aren't really strong enough. They kind of melt for the whole team, and then Chuki does manage to pick up that last auto attack that picks up Thanap. Then Levi just sitting here popping rockets, popping rockets from the side, and Chuki decides to have a duel with the Fed member on Heartland. It doesn't really go in her favor, but she's got friends.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is that that play has gone well for you regardless, so if you die in a 1-for-1 there, your team still gets Dragon. It's 1-1. I really doubt we're going to hit Soul this game, because NJCU, it feels like this is where they want to be turning on the Jets.
Glowstick, you had a turret, but you didn't really have a turret, sir, so, you're dead.
Also, it's a turret at 20 minutes, and there's a pretty strong Zac there. That's not gonna do much. That Zac is closing in on a Warmogs. Like, you're just not safe under your tower when you don't have wave clear. You don't even have a full item. Like, there's just nothing you can do there. And this is a early Baron.
Yeah, it is essentially on spawn.
Optimistic.
A minute after it comes in, they're kind of burning it down at the moment. Plenty of damage coming in. Paco Parrot does go pretty low. Now just going to have to hang around the side. You can see Levi is here, but it will dissuade. So, they will get him off Baron. So, good stuff from Heartland, as I think, as you mentioned, a little bit dubious with this Baron attempt here, and they will just be forced off of it. Going to look for a pick on the backside, but I think they should just be backing. Levi going to pop the passive as they were backing on a ward. Get the damage coming out from this Corki as the Weaver's Wall just going to disengage. Oh, but man, Heartland wants more. I'm not so sure about this. Here we go. Fight coming out. Hook going to land on a Paco Parrot, but the Sport already fallen. Oh, no. Tortle does not get the auto, but he does manage to just dunk on down, but can't do it before Paco Parrot picks up 2. It's the entire bottom lane and Levi dead for Heartland. And the Maiden is alive with a York. They're just going to bust into the enemy base. This tower is already forfeit. The inhibitor is certain to fall as well. 24 seconds on, 11 seconds onto Thanap, 17 onto Levi. It's not quite enough to end the game. So NJCU will just back out, try to reset, look for a chance to take that Baron once again. But man, oh man, this is looking so dire once again for Heartland. They're 8K gold down at 23 minutes, and they're not really close to a Drake Soul. But if this Baron goes down, your base is just going to explode, particularly when your top laner is living up to his name and is basically as useful and as flimsy as a glow stick.
Yeah, it hasn't looked especially clean, but NJCU's strategy seems to just be go somewhere where Heartland has to fight us and fight Heartland. And they have succeeded at most of those opportunities. They've at least gotten good trades in most of those cases. And as this game goes on, they are going to keep finding those kinds of opportunities. And it seems like it's going well for them. We will watch more as the game goes on. I mean, they're up 8K gold. The game is getting later and later. I don't know that the last game even got to this minute mark, but we will see what NJCU wants to do here. Dragon spawning in 30. Baron is up. They've shown that they might as well just go for Baron whenever they want to. But despite all of that, it is still a bit dangerous. They showed there that they just don't get away with it for free. So, we'll just watch. It seems like the Dragon will be the first priority. Probably smart. It's a much easier thing to take down. I don't think anything will happen from that. Yeah, just flash out. Oh, actually, that's a lot more damage than I thought it would be.
Yeah, Paco's pretty strong at this point, and the support not very much so. So, kill going to go down, and now Thanap finds himself in a terrible position. Paco Parrot will pick up 2. They will likely get the Drake for free, as it is Don't Miss Your Mark on the other side of the map. He has been forced away by Levi showing up. They still can't quite take him down. 3 members around. They may want to try to follow up on this one. excuse me, as that annoying alarm goes off on my iPad there. So very sorry about that one. But Don't Miss Your Mark does manage to stay alive on the backside of the fight as the kills come down in bottom side. That dragon has been picked up. It's 10-20 in kill score. It is nearly a 10K gold lead. And like I said, I think really we're just waiting for a Baron take for this game to be over.
Yeah, I think we are. It's a bit slower than last time, at the very least. Heartland is not falling over as easily. Definitely holding up a little bit more. Fights are a little bit better, but overall, they are still having a lot of issues as this game progresses later. Oh, here's an engage.
Ooh, Levi wants the package. They get the Shen on
Ooh.
top, and that looked pretty nice as a combination, but the Zillion ulti will come out. It'll keep Paco Parrot alive for now. Two-man engage on the backside, but again, no CC on Chuki. She just goes full channel and gets another kill. Now it's two, and everyone is low. Chuki following up as a triple kill. This might be a quadrangle, could be a penta. Will it be the penta? No! Levi, you monster! You've taken it away with the kill. As they tried to funnel it onto Chuki.
Oh.
He would get aced with that last bomb from level 1 Baby Slime, who I don't know if we picked up on this, but he built full AP instead of supportive. Yep, very, very fun. But it will get the job done in this case, and it will get the job done in the series as they take down the Nexus turrets. They're going to head for the Nexus. It's Tortoise who picks up a kill. He's going to try to get Don't Miss Your Mark, but he doesn't have the damage. Don't Miss Your Mark going to finish this one out, and it's NJCU cleaning up the series in a clean 2 games.
Yeah. And in that last team fight, it really felt like Heartland knew their win condition was that they needed to kill one of the carries, especially Chuki, and that is what they did until the Zillion ultimate came out, and they just decided, we don't need to think about that misfortune, and then the misfortune proceeded to just blow all of them up. And you can't do that. You can't let that happen. So smart from NJCU, great team fighting throughout the series, but just a bit rough from Heartland, some stuff to look at just as the series goes on, because that was such a good engage. We were like, wow, that was really impressive. Like the timing on it was also kind of incredible, with Levi positioning the Shen right there just in time and then bouncing out to the outside of the fight where you'd be able to spit out rockets onto all of the members. And then they just decided that, I don't even remember who it was. It might have been KP Cooper, who was diving their backline, was a lot more important than the carry that was carrying the whole game. So definitely a great job by NJCU throughout the series, making a lot of unconventional picks work. That's pretty impressive by itself, but yeah.
Certainly is. It was a very experimental game to draft, but it does pay off behind the carry. Once again from Chuki and from Paco Parrot. A nice series put together by NJCU. And despite some valiant efforts by Levi, by Thanap, and the rest of Heartland, they do fall to NJCU in a swift 2 games. That will wrap up the series and the stream for us here tonight. So do want to thank you all for tuning in. Want to thank our production staff behind the scenes, Battleman, bringing us all of these great scenes and the replays, which are fresh and new here to NJCU stream. So hope you did enjoy those. And once again, want to thank my co-caster here, Turquoise Yoshi, for bringing all of the knowledge onto the Rift. We hope you have enjoyed the games, and we hope that you are excited to get back on the Rift with us next Friday for more NJCU League of Legends. But with that from us, I want to wish you happy and healthy night.